Hi everyone, my name is Julia Adams Whitaker, and I'm a learner support specialist with Student Accessibility and Achievement here at McGill University. Today, we're going to take some time to go over how to create and develop your own personalized weekly schedule. Before we start exploring a weekly schedule, just a reminder from our previous presentation that there are 3 levels of time management. In our first learning capsule, we did go through a semester schedule. If you haven't already seen that video or went through that video, I highly suggest you do that before moving on to the weekly video. You can watch the weekly video without the semester schedule video, but you'll be a little bit more prepared for creating your weekly schedule if you've already created your semester one. The second level of time management is weekly, so that's what we're going to be looking into a little bit more today. And finally, in the next video on time management, we will be discussing how to make daily plans or daily to-do lists. So we can all probably agree that there usually isn't enough time in a week to get done what we want to get done. But sometimes what we want to get done is not realistic. Sure, I would love to have time in the week to complete all of my readings ahead of time, even the supplemental ones, study daily, and still have time to go to the gym every day, eat 3 meals a day sitting down, participate in extracurriculars, have a great social life, and all of those other things like laundry, groceries, dishes. Sadly, all of this is not possible, especially if you want to have time to sleep. So let's reflect on a few questions when thinking about the ways in which you manage your week. So first, how many tasks do you usually plan to complete in a week, whether this is academic tasks or other? How much time do you actually have available to work on these things during the week? Is the plan that you've created and what you want to get done realistic? And are you including things like physical activity, social activity, and chores, or are you only including academics? So a weekly schedule can help you create a realistic plan where you can complete what needs to get done so that there is time for other things that you want to do. With a weekly schedule, you may even find time to join McGill's Lettuce Club. Yes, McGill has a lettuce club. Now, let's jump right into how to make a weekly schedule. Here's an example of a template. You can use a paper or a digital version like this one, an agenda with a similar layout, or any other app or tool that allows you to break down your day by time. Ideally, you would fill this template out or your own template out as we go along. So if you want to take a moment to pause the video and grab what you need, and then come back. On this example of a weekly schedule, there's space at the top to write down the week of the academic year. And there's also different columns and rows for the days of the week. And this schedule is planned out by hour. Other schedules can be planned out by 15 minutes, 30 minutes. It's really whatever makes the most sense for you. And we're going to briefly go over an example of what your semester schedule could look like. This student here has made their weekly schedule and have included everything from classes to gym to studying to meal times, and they've even put in different stages as well as periods during which they will have to work. So their schedule looks pretty cluttered and pretty busy. But in the evenings after dinner, there is some more open spaces that the student has left for social activities or just simply relaxing. So there are 3 steps to creating a weekly schedule. As we go through these steps, feel free to follow along with your own schedule, or you can always revisit this video afterwards. So the first step is to plan your academics and plans that aren't flexible. So here you would add in all tasks, academic or otherwise, that you can't really change. So this includes things like lectures, labs, and tutorials. This could be study groups or meetings with your instructor, as well as personal appointments and work, as those are also things that you're not able to change in your schedule. Next, you'll want to plan in other life tasks that need to get done. So this would include things like chores and grocery shopping, exercise and self-care, as well as hobbies and social life. And finally, you would plan in your study and homework sessions. You might be asking, why do we plan this last? Well, by planning in your study and homework sessions last, this allows you space and time to have a balanced schedule by planning in the things that need to get done, planning in things for yourself, chores, grocery shopping, and then finally, with the time you have left available, that's where you would plan in your study and your homework sessions to help create that balance. Planning this last also helps you make time for the things you want to do, and it can avoid feeling overwhelmed and burnt out if you're spending too much time only on academics and not on anything else. To help you plan your study and homework sessions, here are a few tips. First, you can plan these study sessions in 2-hour time blocks. So this allows you to take a shorter break throughout. Example, you can work for 25 minutes and then take a 5-minute break. And it's suggested you leave at least 30 minutes between the 2-hour time blocks to take a bit of a longer break. By taking breaks before you actually need them, this can help you maintain your focus and concentration for a longer period of time. You can also alternate between subjects. For example, you would spend 2 hours on economics, 2 hours on psych, and 2 hours on chemistry. If you spend more than 2 hours on one subject, oftentimes you'll find it harder to focus and you'll be intaking less and less information the longer that you're focused on just one thing. And time spent working on academics outside of class should be about a 2-to-1 ratio. So this means that for every hour of class, you should spend at least 2 hours on classwork. For example, if you have a 3-hour class, you're likely to be spending about 6 hours per class each week. You may find that this exact schedule and process doesn't work for you, and that's totally fine. So here are 3 questions that you can ask yourself to help you individualize your weekly schedule. First, do I prefer looking at schedules that aren't in black and white and have a little more excitement to them? If yes, you can add color to your schedule. You can choose to color code different courses or categories. For example, meal times could be red, anything psych-related could be blue, and any social activities could be green, and so on. You can add this color in for both physical and digital plans. The only difference being that for the physical plan, you would be doing this by hand, and with the digital plans, you would be able to do it with your computer. If you don't really mind a schedule being in black and white, or if you prefer that, that's okay. You can leave it without color if you choose to, or you can only add color in for specific things. So you might want to add in color for fun activities that you have coming up. And remember, if you add fun activities or social events to your weekly schedule, it can give you something to look forward to at the end of the week. So adding those in there, making them bright and really noticeable could be a lot of motivation to complete your work. Next, ask yourself, do I often arrive late or feel rushed? If yes, plan for travel time and add this to your schedule. You can plan more time than you think you will actually need. If you never arrive late, you're always on time and don't feel rushed, feel free to leave travel time out. Sometimes by removing things that aren't needed from your schedule can give your schedule a less crowded feel. So if travel time isn't something that you need to include, taking out could be a good way to give your schedule a little bit more free space. And remember, you never know what might delay your commute, especially with construction and traffic. So always plan to arrive a bit early to accommodate for these delays so that hopefully you'll at least arrive on time. Finally, ask yourself, do I prefer knowing what I'll be working on during my study and homework sessions? If yes, you can add these details into each time block on your schedule. You'll need to plan and prioritize ahead of time, so this is where your semester schedule might come in handy. Again, if you haven't watched this video yet, I do encourage you to go have a look at it on our YouTube page. If you don't really want to know or need to know what you'll be working on during your sessions, you can simply write study block in your schedule, like we saw in the example at the beginning. Or if you want a little bit more detail, you can add the specific course that you'll be working on and not necessarily the specific thing you'll be working on for that course. So you can write psych study block or simply just study block, depending on what you prefer. And it's important to remember that you can reuse the same schedule every week. Usually the things that stay the same and aren't very flexible don't change much from week to week. But make sure to schedule time weekly to update and review your schedule. So you can plan time on the weekend, maybe in preparation for the upcoming week, just to make sure that nothing has changed from the previous week's schedule. So those were just a few ways that you can adapt your weekly schedule to fit your individual needs. If you have any ideas or ways that you have individualized your own semester schedule, please share them with us at access.support@mcgill.ca. If you would like to learn more about how to individualize other academic strategies, please take a moment to browse through our other videos on our YouTube page. We're always updating and adding new resources. If you have any suggestions, feel free to let us know. We hope you enjoyed this video, and we're looking forward to seeing you in our next learning capsule.